When Adventure Time first came out on Cartoon Network, my first thought was, what kind of psychedelics did the writers for this show take? A boy and his stretchy dog ran errands for a princess made from candy. They were friends with a miniature elephant that made apple pie out of diamonds, and the fart princess had a deeper voice than even I do now as a grown man 15 years later. Emasculinated as I was, I fell in love with the goofy humor and unforgettable places, solidifying that fantasy storytelling comes down to, in part, creating places your audience wants to go. Which is why it was so captivating to see that, as Finn matured, so did the show, and as the message matured beyond fart jokes and songs about buttonflies, the setting changed to lend a hand in Finn's coming-of-age story. That's why today we're breaking down 3 locations in the land of Ooo, not only to give you a better understanding of creative world building, but also to help illustrate how a story world helps form the life lessons for our hero. So,
Well, then it's time to get real.
and let's get started.
Ahoy there! I am Quilton, son of Pillowford.
Puhoy has always been one of my favorite Adventure Time episodes. It takes something as childish and commonplace as a pillow fort, combines it with a portal story type, and tells a wacky but sad story about object permanence, priorities, significance, and loving a coffee mug. It checks so many boxes. Now, I'll ask you, how do we set up this world within a world? Where do we start when we want to tell a meaningful lesson in a creative and ridiculous manner? That's right, exactly like any other story. We look at our hero's want and need. The episode starts with our hero wanting to ruminate and fester on something going wrong in his relationship. Our hero needs to realize that what is ruining his life is actually quite insignificant, especially in the grand scheme of life. And so, the storytellers give Finn an opportunity to live a life, gain some perspective and wisdom, and finally return home with this newfound insight. Now, does Finn need to live another life in a world made of pillows? Not really. It actually raises a lot of questions like, how much protein was in those pillows he ate? How did Finn still manage to lose his arm? And how did Finn and Rosalind sleep at night? Was it on a mattress or a bigger non-sentient pillow? What matters is the world's ability to isolate Finn from his previous life, provide him with an opportunity to move on, mature, and consider what is truly important in his life now. The Pillow Kingdom gives him a bright and colorful world in contrast to the literal dagger storm going on back in Ooo. The kingdom is a soft place for him to rest and consider his life, rather than ignore his tribulations by fighting monsters or obsessing over a joke. It's this environment that allows Finn the time and conditions to discover his character need.
Just promise me you'll remember us when you're back in your real life.
As we see in the show, it takes Finn nearly 20 years to finally give up his search for the magic pillow door, live out his life as a husband and father, and eventually die from old age, wiser for the journey. I think Finn passing Golb on his way back to Ooo also suggests this experience was real, that Finn does actually live and die in another world where he learns to recognize what truly matters in life, that this existence did in fact have substance, fluffy as it was. But when he pops out from the Pillow Fort, reunited with his past life and still maintaining a clear memory of his time in the Pillow Kingdom, all of this is forgotten when Flame Princess texts him about his joke. And look, I resonate with my mind blanking out anytime a girl interacts with me, but this was heartbreaking. Everything in Finn's pillowy life, from meeting his wife, raising a family, even forsaking the friends he has been reunited with, is forgotten along with the lessons from the Pillow Kingdom. This concept is unique to Adventure Time, because most Portal stories end when the hero returns home. Bilbo returns to the Shire with stories and swag. Wendy, Michael, and John return from Neverland, having learned that they will need to grow up one day. Alice learns to embrace her true self after returning from Wonderland. But Finn forgets all of it, successfully gut-punching the entire audience by illustrating what amazing things can be forgotten by focusing on the insignificant. It's a reminder that, if we don't consciously choose to grow, we can end up right back where we started. This then leaves the door open for Adventure Time Storyboard to concoct another means by which to make their hero grow.
Maybe that'll snap you out of the... Whoa, what? What's this train all about? No one said nothing about no train in the way.
So when popping out of a 70-year Pillow World hiatus doesn't change your hero, you need to up the stakes with heartbreak and escapism. Well, you could actually use anything to fuel character change, but this is the route Adventure Time went. If we look at the Pillow Kingdom as Finn's way of getting lost in another life, the Dungeon Train is Finn getting lost in his old one. It's a story about distraction, about the allure of what's familiar, and the illusion of progress. While Finn's relationship and breakup with Flame Princess is not directly what causes our hero to change, it is the catalyst for our story's hero to lose sight of who he is and rediscover what is truly important in life. At first glance, the Dungeon Train serves to return Finn to his roots, the boy hero seen in the first 2 seasons of Adventure Time. It is an endless cycle of battles where each trip around the train offers better gadgets and doodads, but due to the nature of the train, no progress is truly being made. In fact, as we find Finn sinking deeper and deeper into his old self and the old Adventure Time stories of killing mindless monsters, we realize our hero is regressing. The monsters offer no challenge to our hero. The bosses are likely other adventurers who fell prey to the allure of the Dungeon Train, often looking like monsters themselves. The writers designed the train in such a way that it exacerbates Finn's desire to escape his reality, while also hyperbolizing, I'm guessing that's a word, the negative consequences of this choice. Unlike the Pillow Kingdom, where time in the outside world slows down, Finn does not have a lifetime to spend learning a lesson. Instead, the writers give him this.
Look! That's you, dude! You're old! You're alone? You're still fighting on this dumb train!
Oh, I'm gonna have the best life.
Now yes, this orb allows Finn to see himself were he to continue pursuing this path on the Dungeon Train. But what I want you writers to note is how time and the lessons learned over the course of time are expanded in the Pillow Kingdom and compressed in the Future Orb. For your own writing, consider how these 2 different approaches to time dilation affect the story and lesson for the hero and audience. Unlike the Pillow Kingdom where Finn forgets his old friend, the orb allows Finn to see a glimpse of his future self, and, upon a second look, consider how this future self impacts his best friend. Normally in storytelling, we use a character's actions to show regression, avoidance, or other unhealthy coping mechanisms. The hero might pick up the old habit of smoking, maybe they avoid time with their friends, or they sink into cycles of instant gratification. Adventure Time managed to put all 3 of these ideas into one infinite train that goes nowhere, satisfying Finn's want for escaping his reality, while also putting pressure on his need to realize his life is not solely for his enjoyment. He has a best friend that still loves and relies on him. Now, in writing your own stories, you might not need an entire train to help your characters grow. Luke Skywalker only needed a tree to face his fears. Batman needed a cave. Your heroes don't need to stumble upon a mystical metaphor like the Dungeon Train. But what the train allows the storytellers to do is take their hero through a mini character arc, entering the scene with a want and need, avoiding the need to move past a literal distraction, all while making 0 progress riding on a circular train track. Ultimately, what forces Finn to grow is his best friend's loyalty. When he discovers that, through it all, Jake would stay by his side, Finn realizes how his inaction and avoidance of the true adventure hurts his best friend. But it is the true adventure, the mysterious cave Finn and Jake miss because of the Dungeon Train, where Finn must learn to grow, change, and move on alone.
Egress means exit. Okay.
If we take the metaphor of an endless loop, something like a train going in a circle and, oh wait, we just did that. Well, awesome. Let's put that on steroids and explore the reimagined concept with the Hall of Egress. As a little metaphysical aside, sometimes in life it feels like you're making progress, when in reality you're going nowhere. Likewise, there are experiences where it feels like you are going nowhere, but you are actually making progress. The Hall of Egress represents the latter, a maze-like dungeon which forces the dungeon crawler to walk blindly back to its entrance in order to escape. On the surface, its nature is very similar to the Dungeon Train. Finn keeps going in circles while avoiding the necessary task ahead, be it leaving the Dungeon Train or wandering the wilderness alone and nibbling on a skunk. As a storyteller, I want you to see how the mechanics for both the train and the hall are similar, and where they differ comes down to how Finn escapes. While the Dungeon Train is defeated in part because of Jake's loyalty and Finn's willingness to change for his friend, the Hall of Egress is different. Finn is not in control of leaving the Hall. Jake and BMO actively work to send him back to square one. While they are, in effect, forcing him to start over and try again, eventually Finn comes to terms with the fact that he will need to find his own way. This subtle change in, I don't know if you want to call them dungeon rules or story world mechanics, conveys a different type of lesson to our hero and audience. Whereas the cyclical nature of the dungeon train represents distraction and a need to care for others, the cyclical nature of the Hall of Egress is a metaphor for trusting the universe and sometimes needing to take that journey of discovery alone. After moving past the dungeon train, Finn had attained his previous need, a need to look past himself, past a desire for fun, past regressing into his childhood self. What remained now was the need to move forward in a manner different than what had served him previously. The boy who had always pushed through and persevered despite pain or obstacles was now left in a situation where he could not fight his enemy. He could not depend on his best friend for help. He couldn't even depend on what he saw. Instead, he needed to learn from his mistakes, making progress little by little, and trusting that one day he would find his way back to the exit, or, as suggested by the Hall's change in location, that the exit would reveal itself to Finn when the time was right.
I was playing my flute for you the whole time, so I was just gonna keep playing this flute song about my secret feelings until my flute broke.
Finn's journey through these three places, the Pillow Kingdom, the Dungeon Train, and the Hall of Egress, mirrors the process of growing up. First, he learns what truly matters. Then, he struggles with the temptation of regression. And finally, he is forced to let go and trust in something greater than himself. Each of these places shapes him, not just as a hero, but as a person, teaching him lessons he couldn't have learned any other way. And that's what makes Adventure Time such a captivating story world. It reminds us that growth doesn't happen all at once. Sometimes it takes a lifetime. Sometimes we forget the lessons we've learned, and sometimes we walk forward blindly, hoping the world will meet us halfway. But if Finn's story teaches us anything, it's that no matter how many times we get lost, there is always a way out. We just have to trust that we'll find it. So, whether you're writing your own fantasy world or just trying to navigate this one, remember, the places we go shape us, and the real adventure is in learning how to move forward. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out my book if you liked the video, link should be in the description somewhere, and until next time, go write the best stories possible. The end.